Crew, Andy Mechanic here. Welcome back to the workshop. Right, give me a second to get set up because wasn't running late and now I'm running late. Honestly, can't win. Right, see who we've got in the workshop this morning. It's been a very, very busy week. There we go, look, come on, load up. Internet is not the greatest. How's the audio and visual? Are we all good? Let me know. It's been ridiculously, not stupidly hot, but very sort of muggy, you know, real lot of moisture in the air. Not good, to be honest. Sweating me nuts off yesterday, and I did you a video. I'm doing another video today. I'm doing the trailer, which is pretty cool. Right, we're loading up. Little wheel of death's going on. Until then, bit of news. Steve is slowly starting to make his way back into the social media YouTube stuff, and we wish him the very best. So good morning, Steve. Our thoughts are with you, matey, and you will get there. We're all on your side. We're all there, cheering you on. Hang on, there's some stupid adverts fired up. Okay, who have we got? Roger Heaps. Good morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Roger. Welcome back, sir. It's a privilege to have you in my workshop. Mike Bozanski. Good morning, all. Flying to Italy. Man, you get around. On Monday to start my new job there. Looking forward to several years of shenanigans in Europe before I finally retire. Still got the wheel of death. Might have to reload. I've got a comment. Oh, there we go. We're good. So, Mike, one of the good things to do, and it'll make it more interesting now that the UK is not part of Europe anymore, not as regards passports and stuff. Many, many years ago, I went from the UK on a motorcycle ride into Europe with my brother Phil, and we were both riding KTM 640 LC4 super motards, which I still have mine. Not sure if Phil's still got his. I'm not sure he bought a new one. And we decided to make the trip a little bit more interesting. So we decided to try and visit as many countries as possible. You think, well, that's not interesting, Andy. That's what you do on a motorcycle ride. Yes, but we did it without going through any passport control or any official border crossings. We did it all off-road. Over the crossings. So normally in Europe, whenever you get a mountain range, that sort of forms the border between two different countries. And we had the GPS. This is going back a bit. We were well organized. And often there'd be old mountain tracks, cart horse tracks and stuff that would link one country to the other. And of course, there isn't going to be a little passport office there and a guy sat in a little hut to stamp your passport. So we managed to visit, I think it was 13 countries. Something like that, maybe 11, I can't really remember now, without going through any passport control. Obviously, we had to get out of UK into France. That was the only passport control we did because there's water in the way and stuff. But once we were on the mainland of Europe, we were off. And there was some pretty cool exploits we got up to try and get across various border crossings. We did one day pop out onto a toll road, but after the toll, and we got to the end, and they were checking people's tickets and stuff, and I was there with my gloves on the bike and stuff. I deliberately took ages to try and delay the whole thing, and there was a queue of cars picking up behind us, and the woman in the kiosk said, "Oh, just go." So they let us through without checking the ticket. Tactics, and we got away with it. But it was very, very cool. Anyway, Mike, there's your challenge. When you get a chance, many countries as you can, 0 border crossings. Let me know how you get on. It's fun. And take your tent because you'll be camping. Right. Simon. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Simon. The Giant Governor. Good evening, Andy and family. Hope everyone is doing well watching from South Africa. Good morning, the Giant. Daz 323323. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Daz. Welcome aboard, matey. Purple Monkey. It's all the regulars this morning. Hello, Andy. Good morning, Purple Monkey. Alan Cook. Hiya, Andy. Good morning, Alan. Vivek. Kumar. Big heart. Thank you, Vivek. Appreciate that. JJ. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, JJ. MF50B, morning Andy and crew. Cheers, MF. Welcome back. Yeah, we've got some pretty crap internet down here. I've got a wheel of death again. Very strange. Although the picture's pretty good. That's odd. Connor K. Good morning, Andy, Mrs. Mechanic, and crew. Good morning, Sir Connor. Great to have you back, sir. Really is. Now, we've caught up with the comments. We're doing okay. Time for a cigarette and a quick recap on what's been going on. Because it's been 2 weeks. Now, one of the problems with doing a live stream once a fortnight is I have to try and remember what the hell I was doing 2 weeks ago. I struggle to remember what I was doing this last week. I mean, I know what I did yesterday, but 2 weeks ago, stuff. Oh, I was away. I was doing dealer visits. That's right. I was visiting motorcycle shops. And I came home on Friday. That's right. Yes, from Palmerston North, back home. And I've been all the way down to Wellington. So it was a pretty busy week. Just limited it to one visit per day, giving a bit more time for admin work and stuff. So it wasn't mental. Tried to sort of control the mentalness a little bit. And then this last week, well, Mrs. Mechanic, it's more about Mrs. Mechanic than me, really. Mrs. Mechanic went for a walk, a very long walk, over a mountain. Not just any old mountain, a sleeping volcano down near Mount Ruapehu. She didn't actually walk over Mount Ruapehu, but there's another mountain, it's the Northern Circuit, something or other, I don't know. Anyway, 3 days it took her. It was supposed to take 4 days, but Eloise was adamant 3 days was enough. So it was a bit of a mission for her. And Ellie broke, Mrs. Mechanic. She did. She was just exhausted by the end of it, in all honesty. And she's just starting to recover now. So a bit of a mission. So obviously I had to go down, deliver them all down at one end of the track. And they had to do a different track because some of it had washed out. And then there was weather warnings. There was 100-kilometre-hour winds up on the top, so they weren't allowed to go over that way. There's a mozzie in here. That's going to be great fun. So yeah, all changed, weird, horrific weather, lots of rain. Auckland. I'm sure you've seen it on the news. Auckland was fun, wasn't it? God, and it's still raining up there. It's just unbelievable. There's been so many road closures, so many major landslips, just major flooding all over the place. Cars abandoned, or it's just absolute. It's getting a bit better now, but during the worst storm period, Auckland was an absolute chaos. I've never seen it as bad. You might have seen on Facebook, there's a clip of one of the buses going through, must be 3 foot of water, because it's inside the bus as well. There's about a foot of water inside the bus swilling around the seats. And as they're going down the motorway, reasonably slowly, there's lots of abandoned cars and stuff, the bow wave that the bus is creating is then going over the concrete barriers, and the concrete barriers are a good metre and a bit high. So yeah, you imagine how deep the water was. Who else have we got? Okello Abram. Morning, Andy, watching all the way from Uganda. Bloody hell. Good morning, matey. Simon, we did the same with the Tyne Tunnel. Over 100 bikes, took ages to get the 20p out for the toll, caused traffic to back up for miles. After that, the tunnel scrapped the toll of the bikes. Yes, that's exactly the way to do it, Simon. That is brilliant. 20 pence. I mean, come on, do a risk assessment, and it's a dangerous thing, isn't it? You don't want backing up traffic if you can avoid it. 20 pence. Just crack on, lads, and don't forget, they get the benefit of the sound of the exhaust from your motorcycle when you go through the tunnel. So it's a win-win for everybody, isn't it? Here in New Zealand, we have a toll road that goes up north, and it opened quite a few years ago now. And you're going to laugh at this. They charge the same amount of money for a motorcycle as they do a car. Yes. Brilliant, isn't it? And they're trying to encourage, New Zealand is this wonderful, environmentally friendly place, right? That looks after the polar bears and things. Well, that's what the marketing team do in the government. But in reality, when you see behind the scenes and what really goes on in this country as regards environmental stuff, man, it would really open your eyes. There's some pretty dire stuff going on, in all honesty. Igor Zdivrovskis. Hi, Andy and fellas. Good news. Got the 2 intake boots. Yes. One from France and one from the UK. Both new old stock. Fantastic, mate. Well done. But very good condition. Soft as a baby's bottom. That's exactly what you need. And well done for persevering. It's great to get genuine parts and obviously new old stock. You couldn't ask for any better, to be honest. And you were very lucky. There's probably not many out there now. So well done, Igors. That was definitely worth the detective work. And it can get frustrating sometimes trying to find parts. Ben is brilliant at it. He has a bit more time than I have. He seems to be able to source stuff for his TDR 250s and other bikes that he's got. Bloody well, actually. He's pretty good. He really is. Anyway, so this week, getting back to my schedule and what I've been doing, this week, whilst Mrs. Mechanic has been hiking over mountains with practically no phone signal for most of the time, so good luck, I've been doing admin work. Sat in an office doing admin work. Now, part of that admin work, it became quite interesting. I should have swept the bench. Look, it's filthy. Was to prepare for my South Island trip, which is starting on Tuesday in a couple of days' time. Or it was. So I was scheduled to be away for about 3.5 weeks. And every single day of that trip, there was stuff going on that was work related. It was full on. I had loads of field visits to do, various farmers and stuff, customers, all the dealers in the South Island to go and see, and it was just action packed. It was just going to be monstrous. Probably the busiest trip that I've ever done, and it took a lot of organising. A real tight schedule. And I got an email. I got an email from our travel agent. I say our work. And it said, oh, shall I book the ferry now? And this was last week. Well, this was this week. And I'm like, holy crap. You not booked the ferry. I sent my schedule through weeks and weeks ago. And I'd already given the go ahead to book everything. So my heart sunk and I thought, there is no way I'm going to get on that ferry now. So I went online, checked the ferries. Sure enough, there's 2 different companies that run ferries. Both of them are booked out for weeks. There is absolutely no way that I was going to get on a ferry to the South Island. So I just emailed her back and said, look, this should have been booked ages ago. It's far too late now. I'm going to have to reschedule the whole thing. So it's all been pushed back now until after Easter. Because don't forget, in March, I'm on annual leave. We're doing the monkey bike adventure, which hence why I'm building the trailer and stuff. We're busy. The only upside of the whole thing is it has now given me 3 more weekends at home. So it's taken a little bit of pressure off getting the trailer built. Hence why I can do it to camera, I really wanted to do it to camera. So I'm very pleased about that. But saying that, there's a lot more work involved than I originally planned. So it's a godsend that I've got a bit of extra time. So yeah, it's been chaos, actually. And a bit stressful, really, because I had a lot of people to contact to say, hey, I know I've already postponed this trip once because I caught COVID in December. I'm going to have to postpone it again. And there's 5 months between when I originally planned the trip to when I'm actually going. Assuming I go in April, in Easter. Hope so. It's becoming a real problem. For some reason, the ferries are ridiculously busy. They've never been as busy as they are now. I know there were 1 ferry down, and there may still be 1 ferry down. One of the other ferries, one of the inter-island ferries, the other week, Mrs. Mechanic was saying, had to drop anchor out at sea because the engines failed and they couldn't get them started. And then they eventually got them started, and they sort of limped the way into Wellington Harbour, and then the tugboats pulled them into port. It's not looking good, is it, for ferries? It really isn't. And everybody on the ferry, she was saying, had to put the life jackets and stuff on. That's bad, isn't it? That's really bad. Now then, where do we get to? Bruce Cleaver, morning Andy and crew, how are you? Last night, I mean, I had a long day yesterday. I didn't seem to get that much done. I mean, obviously it slows you down a bit filming, but I didn't film every single cut and every single weld. I mean, we'll have a wander around the chassis of the trailer shortly. Once we put the pie in. Remind me about the pie in a few minutes. But yesterday was really, really muggy. The way it wasn't blisteringly hot. I think it was about 26, 27 degrees C. But it was the air was just laden with moisture, and I was just sweating me nuts off. And you'll see that in the video when it goes out. I mean, I can only apologize, but it's just the way it was. And there was no cap. I mean, I won't be wearing a cap today once I finish the live stream. It was just too hot, just dripping with sweat all day long. You know, it wasn't fun at all. Today is supposed to be a little bit cooler. And Mr. Ben is down to give me a hand as well. So that should be good fun. You might be able to see him on camera at some point. I'm sure he'll be fine with that. And I've got a few little jobs for him to crack on with. He's got some tyres to fit to wheels and other bits and pieces. Now, where do we get to? Igor's Dabrowskis. Took me a good hunt and learning some French to convince the seller. That's dedication, mate. Good job. Alan Cook, big thumbs up. Cheers, Alan. Now, Simon, is Marmite off hiking too? No, Marmite would not have survived that trip. They did, I think the actual route was about 47 kilometers over the 3 days. And it was, I mean, I say 3 days, man, they didn't start walking until about 4 p.m. day one. So it was really, you know, it was a 4-hour hike to the first hut. So it was, I suppose you'd call that half a day's walk, but it ran pretty late. The next day was pretty much full on, and they had a bit of to and froing to do to swap trails because one of the trails got closed. And then the last day, well, that was a mission, Mrs. Mechanic was saying. It was by far the longest trip. It's quite a long walk over the mountain, and you've got to do it in one hit because there's no huts in between. And she didn't rock into the car park until about 8 p.m. that night. So it was a late night, was Thursday night, sorry. Yes, Thursday night was a late night. So she's just knackered. Friday, she just sat all day. And she really aches. I mean, I couldn't do it. I'd be upset. Right, okay, so we've caught up with the comments. You've had a rough idea of what's been going on the last couple of weeks. Sorry it's not been that detailed, but it is the way it is. Well, let's go and put the pie in the pie warmer. So what have we... Nearly lost the pen. Now, Mrs. Mechanic wrote on the bag here. This is from KK Cafe and Bakery in Tokoroa. And it was $5.50, and it's a steak and cheese. I've also got a score on there for the pie server as well, but we'll come to that later on. Okay, so the pie, it's pretty long. Look at that, it's very oval, this one. There is the pie. Dum 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 dum. It's not bad. And these pies are made in-house, they tell us. They make everything, even the moo cows that go in the pie. That's my take on it. If you make everything, you make everything, right? Okay. Let's have a wander over to the pie warmer and get this thing fired up. Turn you around. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, it's a bit of a mess in the workshop, but that's just, normally I tidy up at the end of every night, but as you can see, I really, really haven't tidied up. Oh, there are all the bits. We're going to have a look at those shortly. And the chassis. Right, oh, sorry. Right, pie doing its journey. Bum, 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 bum. Into the pie warmer. Not had many pies this week, which is good. 2000. Oh, look at the state of that. Right, we'll stick him in there. 23 minutes. Seems to be about the perfect amount. Let's go out of the fridge. So, standardized temperature. Okay, so where do you want to start? Well, we'll start over here. So, tires. Look at those. So, Maxxis. They're a new style tyre, Razor, all-terrain, AT811, 235/75/15s, quite a bit bigger than the standard Jimny, which is 195/80/15. So, of course, we need new wheels as well. So we've got those. Maxxis, the importers are based down in Invercargill. So I rang them up and said, look, we're doing this charity run. We're trying to get this vehicle sorted out to support the trip. Mrs. Mechanic on the monkey bike. We need some tyres. Now, I wasn't asking, I don't ask companies for stuff for free. I was happy to pay for them. But obviously there's a budget, and it was going to dictate whether I just bought 3, one spare for the trailer and 2 on the trailer, or whether I could actually stretch to a set for the Jimny as well. We're not entirely sure whether they're going to fit the Jimny yet. They might be a bit too big. I've done all the forum stuff online. Some people say, hey, no problem, they clear fine. Others say, ooh, it's a bit tight. So we might have a lift kit to fit to the Jimny as well. And I do have a little bit of time to do that if need be, if I can source one. It'll be an old man emu kit if we get one. If not, worst case scenario, Jimny goes on standard tyres on its original wheels, which will be not ideal. So we also got 7 white 8-spot rims. These have got a 3mm positive offset. Not normally the rims that I go for. I tend to go for more of a negative offset rim. You can see where the web sits, look. But it's the way it turned out. They don't really sell many white ones here in New Zealand now. Everybody wants, geez, they're quite heavy. Everybody wants black ones. So I managed to get a phenomenally good deal on these. Company in East Tamaki, what are they called? I don't know. I'll put it in the description at some point. But these are dynamic wheels from Australia. They're supposed to be an extremely good off-roading wheel. They've got a nice thick web, so they're good and strong. Not your nasty Chinese stuff. That's all, I think there's some specs on there, look, for you as well. And that's your PCD there, look, 5 stud, 139.7mm, 15x7 rims. Again, the standard rim on the Jimny is a 5.5 inch, so they are considerably wider. But they're an ideal size for that size tyre. So hopefully, eventually, it'll all work out. But blew the budget. We got these at cost. They were $55 each, which is absolute bargain, with wheel nuts, by the way. The chap threw some wheel nuts in as well. And these should have been $365 each. This is all plus GST, and Maxis did them for $200 a pop and delivered them free of charge from their warehouse in Auckland. So very happy with that. We'll do the chassis last. Let's have a wander around here now. Keep the comments coming through. We'll get back to them in a minute. Okay, so what have we got? Well, I have picked up all of the Cruise Master suspension. It's pretty complicated. It's not really. So we've got the mounts. If I grab one of those, this is the actual mount that goes on the chassis. If we go around this side, because there's only one clamp to remove. And you'll see all this in the video. Let's take that one off. Sliding down a bit. I can go back on later. So that essentially gets welded to there with this face flush to the outside of the chassis rail. So that's going to sit there, and then Mr. Trailing Arm will trail off. Obviously everything's upside down at the moment, all right? So, had to mention that. But, there's the pod. It's on its roof. This is the chassis. And I decided to build the chassis on the pod because we know the pod is nice and flat. It's all set up, so it's a perfect jig for making the chassis. Somebody's been smart, right? Okay. So that has to now... Got to clean all the galv off, and that will need to be welded all the way around as per spec. Now, there is one dilemma. Not going to cover it now, but there's a huge dilemma, and it involves these things and the orange arms and measurements and stuff. So that might be in a different place. That's all I'm saying. Okay, background here again. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Now you may also go, oh, Andy, there's already some drums on there and you've got more drums. Yes, I have, because these are the wrong PCD. All right, that's what this was ordered for somebody else many months ago, and they never turned up to pick it up or pay for it. So that's why we've managed to get a great deal on it, and why we've managed to get it really in advance to Cruise Master actually coming into New Zealand proper. So this is like advanced sort of stock, I suppose. So we did very well there. They're the pivots. They're the arms, the trailing arms. They're the bump stops, and they also hold the springs in place. Those are the brackets for the shocks onto the chassis, and the shocks go onto that bit down there on the arm. Now, on this setup, because it's only 1.2 ton rating, which is what we wanted, because you don't want to go too heavy, because then you're going to get less articulation. The trailer should be about bang on when it's fully loaded for this spring rate. You only get one shock per side, which is fine because, you know, obviously on the heavier duty, the higher load rating kits, they use both mounts. This little spring, you can control the oscillations quite happily with a single shock. So that's good. That's all right. It's less weight because this trailer's getting heavy. Now, what else have we got? That is the off-road hitch. Very special hitch. It's quite heavy. It's very heavy. Bear with me, see if I can get my hand in there. Oh, God. Live TV, sorry people. Put it over here, look. Jeez. Okay. So if we hang that off the end, there we are. That is the off-road hitch. The handbrake won't be on the back. I have to remotely mount the handbrake because we've got the extendo hitch on there. Extendo drawbar, you know, we talked about previously. But look at that. See, that's how it gets the additional articulation, and I can't do it because I can't clamp it, but there's also a steel shaft inside the body here, which allows it to rotate that way as well. So you get almost basically infinite rotation in that plane and almost infinite rotation in that plane. So I mean, it would go past that, I think. You get a little cover under there, and you'll see it all in the videos anyway. Front. No shit. Okay. Check lock system. Yeah. So it doesn't use a normal 50mm ball to hitch this one. It uses. See if I can do this for you. Hang on. This is interesting. You're getting to see a lot more than I originally planned on this live stream because it's all going to go in the videos. But anyway, let's have a look. There we are. Look at that. Isn't that weird? So obviously there's some kind of clip that goes in there to lock it onto the back of your car, and then all the movement is done from the hitch itself, this part of the hitch, and of course the rotating yoke. Can it rotate? No, it's too tight. So there you go. But it's got nice grease nipples on it. It's really well made, actually. Really well made indeed. Very happy with that. What else have we got? Oh, I picked up a jockey wheel while I was away in Wellington. Chap down there did us a great deal on the jockey wheel. Again, all very happy to support the charity Alzheimer's Trust, which is what the trailer's being used for. We got some mud guards as well, same place. Just there, look, some steel mud guards. What else? What else? They're the wheel nuts. Oh, this is the little adjuster to adjust the electric brake, so you can apply more or less power when the brake, basically you apply the brake on the towing vehicle. So I've not wired one of these up before. Doesn't look overcomplicated. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires. There'll be some instructions in there. Don't know. They're the wheel nuts. Nice. They're the ones for the chimney. So these are the other drums. Now, one thing that was a bit weird, right? Because we're using the same tires and the same wheels and everything. I made an assumption. And I shouldn't have made the assumption. I should have asked for the wheel studs on the trailer drums to be 12 by 1.25 to match the thread on the chimney, right? These are some weird American thread, so we had to use obviously different wheel nuts for the trailer, which means you can't swap wheel nuts around between the chimney and the trailer, which, you know, if you've lost a couple of wheel nuts, sometimes that can be a useful thing when you're in the middle of nowhere, but we won't be able to do that. And I can't change the studs because, well, I don't want to, you know, cause the stud to be loose in the drum. I'd rather just leave it as it is for now. Let's not introduce any more variables to the equation, right? Because it's push and shove as it is. That's the handbrakey cabley thing. I've got to work that out yet. But the handbrake will need to be mounted on this part, the main chassis. We won't be able to mount it on the actual extender drawbar because obviously the length changes and the cable's a fixed length. Anyway, the chassis, it's only tacked together for now. It's how I like to do stuff. Tack everything up, double check all your measurements. It's easy to change to cut tacks out than it is full welds. And there is another bit of box that slides in and out of here to give you the different lengths. You know, we can adjust the length of the hitch, long for off-road, short for on-road. That's the plan. It's an incredibly strong little chassis. When you look at it, it's only, what's that? It's a meter from there to that bend. So it's what, about a meter 20 to the back of the chassis to the bend, and then you've got probably about the same in front. So it's not very long at all, and it's quite narrow. But it had to be narrow because we need basically the same track as you know, as on the Jimny. We don't want the trailer axle essentially to be a lot wider. It wants to stay in the same ruts. So again, bear in mind it's upside down, obviously. We've got the little cutout way for the breakaway angle. So the chassis is actually, I'm going to continue that line on the chassis and then put a blanking plate over the end of that. So we've got maximum off-road capability with this trailer. So with the trailing arms, I've got all the measurements somewhere, but the wheels will end up about here. Now you might think, wow, the wheels are a long way back, but they are a long way back, but it's only a short trailer and it'll tow a lot better that way. That's how I wanted to do it. It'll work out in the end, don't worry, because we've still got the overhang you see at the back. So the wheels actually are central to the pod. That's the plan, central to the pod being where all the weight is, apart from when we've got the monkey bike on, but that doesn't weigh a lot anyway, so that'll just add to hitch weight. So, you know, it'll work out just fine, but it will look a bit weird. It'll look a bit different to most trailers that have the wheels in the middle of the chassis, probably around here somewhere. You know, we're actually a good sort of 25 centimeters further back. Anyway, there you go. You see, look, all tacked together. But it did take a while yesterday. I was flagging a bit because of the heat. But the important thing is everything's where it needs to be, and really the hard work is done. And that's the measuring, you know, and making sure and lining everything up. That's done now. So I can have a good day today and just, you know, crack on. I want it by tomorrow night, it needs to roll out of the workshop on its own wheels. That's the plan. Right, back to the bench. 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, I'll sort the camera out because it's all over the place. Let's see if that's going to work. Ugh. So yeah, it's been quite a mission getting everything organised, in all honesty. That's going to work, isn't it? Oh, you're not even level, Mr. Young. Terrible. But it's very interesting getting to get my head around this new sort of suspension stuff that's going on, this Cruisemaster. I've learned a lot. It's also going to be really beneficial for the importers now as well, which is Trailcom, because they're right at the start of bringing this equipment in. So I can quite happily foresee further down the line where they may want to borrow the trailer for events and stuff, you know, so they can show off the kit already fitted to a bespoke off-road trailer. A lot of it gets fitted to those off-road caravans like we saw in the video from Cruisemaster, but this is a camping trailer. It's very different, so who knows, I want to borrow it. Where do we get to? Right, hang on. Mike Adams. Hi, y'all. Sorry I'm late. I'm multitasking today. Be careful. That's usually quite dangerous for us chaps. So far, I've been doing the honeydews. I'm not going to ask you to elaborate on that one. Electrician, mechanic, and now plumber. Holy crap, mate. Mike Adams, trailer is looking good. It's getting there. I mean, it's hard to sort of visualize when it's upside down, right? But it is getting there. Ray Chul. Hey Andy, my husband David is watching you live in our pub shed with a spiced rum and coke. Nice, that's the way to do it. Jim K, morning Jim. Looking very nice. We're getting there. One thing that's a bit of a pain, and I've mentioned it in the video yesterday, is that 150 box that I picked up from Asmus. Again, did me a fantastic deal on the steel, charity. It's galv covered, which is great for the trailer long term, but it's an absolute ball ache when it comes to welding up, because you've got to grind away all the galv to where your weld's going to go, and back a bit more as well, and that takes a bit more time, but It's not the end of the world, but it's just something else. It's a compound thing that just delays and delays. And then you've got to make, if your cut's in the wrong place and you've got to trim a bit more off, because I tend to be quite conservative when I'm cutting stuff, you know, it's easy to cut too much off and oh God, you know, I need to use another bit of steel, or do I weld a bit in, or, you know, it starts to get messy. So I've been very cautious about the actual marking out, measure again, check it, you know. So sometimes you end up, you know, having to take off more galv and things. It all takes time. Mike Adams, I like the articulated hitch system. I'd never, until we started to put together the design for this trailer, I didn't even know it existed. So I think it's fantastic. And there's quite a few different brands out there. The one thing that I would say I'm sort of like, is the fact that you've got to have a special, you know, towing coupling on the towing vehicle, that special kind of pin arrangement. There are other ones out there that will accept a normal ball, you know, your 50mm or your 1 7/8 actual normal tow ball. So it's not too bad on the little Jimny. You know, if I wanted to, I mean, it's unlikely we're going to tow many trailers with it anyway, but if you had a, you know, a bigger vehicle and you had a number of different trailers, you'd probably end up just having a couple of different receiver hitches. So you just pull the pin, take the whole thing off and put the other one in. I wouldn't want to be, you know, having to undo that big nut and do it back up again every single time. It'd be just a ball ache. But I understand why they've done it, because then, you see, if you've got the ball and then you've got a pivot a bit further back, you've now got 2 pivot points. And with hitch weight, the trailer's going to want to, the hitch, the drawbar will want to dip down. So basically your hitch is going to sit like that if you've got too much hitch weight. Plus, if you brake hard, it could cause it to clunk down and stress out the ball and then accelerate. And, you know, so I can see why they've done it. So there'll be advantages to that system as well. And we're going to see what they are when we test it all in the real world in a few weeks on the trip, which should be pretty cool. Hang on. Oh, hang on. Simon, are you going to put a link up to the fundraising page on your bit under the vids? Yeah, I forgot. Honestly, I am the world's worst. Simon, thank you very much. I think you must have found it. Mrs. Mechanic said that you'd made a donation, so thank you for that. Really, really appreciate it. It's the Give a Little pages, and it's called Just a Fish, I believe, but I will put a link in there. Now, we're doing 2 ways of donations. If you want to donate towards the kit, that's the trailer and all the stuff to do the trip, do that through PayPal. And there's the PayPal icon on the main Andy Mechanic page in the banner, top right hand side, little tiny, thanks YouTube, a little tiny icon. Click on that. If you can't find it, just send the money to andymechanic@live.co.uk, because that's the email we use for the PayPal. Just class it as a donation. If you want to donate to the actual trip itself, do that through the Give a Little page. Yep, the Alzheimer's Trust. So that's the 2, you know, it depends where your focus is, whether you're focused on the videos of the build or the charity itself. Your call. All I know is I'm skint. I have spent everything on this trailer and more, to be perfectly honest. Right, Purple Monkey 1974. Are you cladding the pod in aluminium using rivets? I am cladding the pod, yes. Am I going to use rivets? I don't think so. I've got a lot of dome head stainless M6 bolts. So I think the plan is to drill and tap the pod for the aluminium panels. I haven't bought the aluminium panels yet. I haven't got enough money to do it. I'm going to have to wait a couple of weeks. That's probably one of the last things that will get done. It's not urgent at the moment, and it's good really, because I might still need to weld bits of brackets and bits and pieces to the pod. I know it's painted already, but it's not an issue. It's only brush painted. We use the same paint as we use for the footwell plates. We have plenty of that spare, so we just use some of that. It's brushed on, so if I need to grind some of it off, you know, the paint is only there for protection. It's not there to look good, because you're not going to see any of it anyway. It's all going to be clad, so it doesn't matter. Plus, when you brush it on, you get a nice thick layer, more protection. So yes, but M6 stainless dome head. I think they're about 20 mil long, which will be fine because it'll just disappear in the box section. Richard Perry, hi Andy and crew. Hope you are good. Doing okay. I'm surprised I've got as much energy as I have this morning because last night I was buggered completely. Sorry for being away. Just found out my dad has got, oh no, he's got cancer, mate. I'm sorry about that. He's doing well. So I'll be going through all the chemo, and it's a long ordeal, mate. And our thoughts are with you and with your dad. I mean, my dad died of cancer, unfortunately. They managed to get him fixed up, and they said, look, you've probably got about 5 years, and near as damn it, he got 5 years. Yeah, pretty harsh, but good luck. Modern technology's moved on a long way now, modern medicine and stuff. So there's a much better chance of survival and stuff. As long as you catch it early, that's the important thing. Simon Rule, hit the like. Yes, Simon, thank you for that. JJ, sun's out today, sort of in Auckland. Wow. Going out to get cabinets, etc. outside to clean and dry out, and then wash the garage workshop floor. Wow, you're dedicated. I have swept my floor, which is pretty cool. And washed the walls to get the dirt and mud off them from last week's flooding. Lots and lots and lots and lots of houses in Auckland were flooded. Some houses, one or two houses, even slid down the hillside. It was there was that much rain. It's just been amazing, to be honest, and there's a lot of cleanup work to do. So good luck with that, JJ. Massive effort till now, drying out the wet tools and trying to prevent rust and seized power tools where possible. Absolutely gutted. Yeah, mate. I was lucky here. We didn't have that much rain here. We've had lots of rain, but it hasn't been that heavy for that long. The workshop, despite there being many holes in the roof, and the fact that the back of the workshop is really like a retaining wall, so there's soil over there, it stayed dry. Don't know why. I was expecting it to be pretty wet in here, but it just hasn't for some reason. Jim Haynes, finally here, and did hit the like button. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. Purple Monkey 1974. The odd hitch system is a security extra, as no one will be able to drive it away. Very good point, actually. That's something that I didn't think about. So, and I am a big fan of security. So all of a sudden, it's starting to look a good thing, isn't it? A really good thing, a positive thing. I like that. Although saying that, when we use a receiver hitch on your tow bar, anybody with a bit of common sense and a receiver hitch on the criminal's vehicle, you just pull the pin and pull the receiver hitch out and put the chimney's receiver hitch in your towing vehicle. Damn, I just told them how to steal the trailer now. Not ideal. Okay, where do we get to? Mike Adams. The honeydews. Are those the list of work the women of the house have for you to do? Ah, right. Honeydew this, honeydew that. I understand now. Right. Makes sense, Mike. I have a list like that. It's only getting longer, and the list was generated about 2 years ago. Yes. There's things to fix in the house, each one's probably a 5 or a 10-minute job, and it hasn't happened yet. I'm in trouble. I'm always in trouble. It's all right. Mike, some people, when figuring max tow capacity of their vehicles, think about the weight of the load, but forget or don't think to combine the weight of the load and the trailer. That's right. The bigger the trailer, the more important it is, really. I mean, that big I for Williams is that's about 1,200 kgs just for the trailer, and even with a 3,500 kilogram tow capacity, which is the largest you can have here in New Zealand for your regular vehicles. I mean, some of the American trucks can tow 4.5 ton. Something on the roof. You've already lost a third of your towing capacity just with the trailer. So you've got to be a bit careful. Otherwise, you can end up being way, way overweight, which trying to avoid doing that. It's not good for the vehicle. Oh, so the Ranger, it developed a problem. It did, not just a puncture. We had the puncture fixed the other day. First puncture ever on a Ranger. Driving up to Auckland a week last Friday to go on an emergency run, actually, to go and try and. This is on the Friday that the storms hit Auckland, right? So the news is saying stay out of Auckland. The roads are all knackered and everything. We only found out when we got there because I don't really listen to the radio much. In fact, there's not a lot of radio signal on the way up to Auckland, unfortunately. So going up to Auckland, had the little Life Williams trailer on the back just in case. I was on an emergency call out. One of the surf club ROVs wouldn't start, and they needed it desperately for emergency evacuation of the township, where it's based. So I had just driven up from Palmerston North. I'd just done like a 4-hour drive, and I'm like, oh man, okay, hitch the trailer on and go. This is what we do. It's what I do. So it took me 5.5 hours to get to said vehicle. To get there, the roads were already very, very flooded. We made it through Auckland okay, just really heavy rain and stop-start traffic. But once we got into the countryside, heading out sort of northwest from Auckland, huge flooding. There was one section about 200 meters long, so a couple hundred yards, I suppose, that was above the headlights on the Ranger, and the bow wave was just at the top of the bonnet. It wasn't coming over the bonnet. It was just, that was the highest point. That was probably about 20 or 30 meters worth. And that was weird. The phone did some weird stuff. And please, I'm back. Anyway, so we made it through it. I was thinking, man, where's the air intake height on this thing? Obviously, it's quite high, but it can't be any higher than the bonnet, right? Because it's underneath the bonnet. But we made it through fine. Got there. Turned out, couldn't fix it. It was pretty serious. So we loaded it on the trailer. But on the way up to Auckland, I used cruise control an awful lot, and it had a hiccup. And a little spanner symbol came on the dash, and we lost about 2/3 of the power on the vehicle. It was still going okay. There was no loud clunks or bangs. Mrs. Mechanic's dragging the owner's manual out of the glove box, trying to find what the spanner symbol means. And it turns out it was a drivetrain fault. And of course, the vehicle had gone into limp home mode with the trailer on, going through the floods. Perfect timing, honestly. So we loaded the ROV onto the trailer and then made our way home. Took another 5.5 hours or so to get home. I didn't get home till 1:45 in the morning. So the Saturday morning, basically, the next day, I was knackered, absolutely knackered, and did the diagnosis on the vehicle on the Sunday, and I was chasing fault codes. There was fault code 42, which is a speed sensor failure. So I was working my way through that. I was checking we had spark, checking we had injector pulse, all that kind of stuff, and I was getting wrapped up in the EFI system because it wouldn't start. It just would crank over. The speed of the crank over didn't seem to be overly fast. We did a compression test, way low. Check valve clearances and so on, and then we did a leak down test, and the leak down test found it. So there was a massive leak, and it wasn't through the intake, wasn't through the exhaust, wasn't through the crankcase. And when we released the pressure for the leak down test, I heard this little gurgle. Sounds like coolant. Sounds like the coolant system. Sure enough, took the radiator cap off, and the radiator is completely empty. Looked in the reservoir bottle, and it wasn't green coolant. It was pink coolant. Somebody had topped it up, and then it had all gone again. Sure enough, the head gasket was absolutely shot. So we did strip the top end down, did a hardness test, worked out how to use the hardness testers. I know how to use that now properly, how to set it all up. And both the cylinder head and the barrel were both fails on the hardness test. So it needs a new barrel, a new head, which we've got all the parts now. It's just time. Full top end rebuild, basically new parts, and then we can finish the service on it because it's in for a service as well. and then it can go back. So I've got that to do as well. So there's a bit to do. Hang on a minute. We'll finish the ciggy, then we'll go and get the pie. Jim, to give you a heads up, I sent a package and it says it's at the post office. Oh, excellent. Okay, thank you, Jim. Really appreciate that. Not sure when I'll be back up. That'll be the PO box in Auckland. So I'm not sure when I'm going back up to Auckland. I don't think it's going to be next week, but it will be the week after for definite. So I'll get it grabbed then. Thank you very much, Jim. Really appreciate that. Bruce Cleaver, RE towing capacity. I saw a BMW X3, quite a small car, with a Range Rover P38 on a 4-wheel trailer. Little bit overweight. Jeez, that's horrendous. I remember seeing in the UK things like Ford Granadas, the roundy shaped one, towing car trailers with 4-wheel drives on, and you think, man, how on earth, it's got to be overweight. I remember years and years ago when I used to do all the driving for my dad, doing what we call dealer transfers. So we'd be swapping one car with a dealer for a different car. This is when it was Nissan and Renault. The Nissan 1-ton pickup that we had, D21 I think it was, it needed a new back axle because it had done so much towing. It had worn and there was a lot of slop side to side on the wheels. So, and it wasn't the bearings. So anyway, they had to get a new axle for that. So it was out of action for a while. And we used a Renault 25 for the towing. And after a few weeks, because it took a while to get an axle right, after a few weeks, there was this weird noise from the boot area. So we got it up on the hoist, and it had pretty much ripped the tow bar clean out of the boot, where it's all bolted to the back of the car. It was all metal fatigued and cracked, and a lot of flexing. I wouldn't say we were overweight towing with it though. I mean, it was a twin axle flatbed proper car trailer. It was a good car trailer. It was pretty heavy, but we were only really putting cars on the car trailer. But because of the intensive usage, it had just ripped, and it was a genuine tow bar. It ripped the tow bar out of the boot. So I think the lads took the tow bar off, welded all the boot up, undersealed it all again, put the tow bar back. I think actually no, they left the tow bar off. They just welded the boot up, undersealed it all, and the car was sold. By which time the pickup was fixed again, so we were back on using that. But it just goes to show that cars, yes, they can tow. Obviously, they have a towing limit, but they're still not as durable. They're not really designed to be towing all the time. So the pie is definitely ready. It really, really is, and I'm getting quite hungry actually. I'm just going to finish this. There we go. Right, let's go and grab the pie. Turning around, 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay. Oh, jeez. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, yes. On the way to the pie, we got some merch. Look at this. We got some stickers to go on the trailer, some little stickers, and they sent us some t-shirts as well. This is all from the Maxis Tyre guys down in Invercargill. So by the time the trailer's all finished, there's going to be loads of decals and stuff on it. It's going to be really, really cool. And hopefully we can get some donations along the trip as well. That's the plan. So there we go. Look at, oh, the lid's lifting. Oh my word, the lid is lifting on that one. Quite a bit, look. Hello, I'm a pie. As long as it tastes good, right? Okay, it's quite hot still. I think we did well to leave it as long as we did. Okay, back to the bench. Ooh, look at that golden brown pastry. Nice. Right, we'll stick it on the bag. Now the bag is quite greasy, so I'm expecting quite a greasy pie. Turn it around. There we go. Something like that. Some big birds on the roof today. What's going on? Having a bit of a confluence. Now, have you guys stopped commenting, or has my feed stopped working? Oh no, we're all good. Okay, so a quick squiz. Here we go, look. So the lid is almost now a separate part to the base. It's just sort of glued on at this back piece here. So I'll have to be cautious about that. Bit of pie, good pie management required. Okay, so this pie, those that have just joined us, this pie is from KK Cafe and Bakery in Tokoroa, and it was $5.50. So it's about an average seller price for a pie. It's relatively heavy. So it's only in a plain bag, so I don't know the actual weight. It feels pretty standard weight, about 200 grams. Okay, we're going in. It is still very hot, so I might abort mission for a little bit, but we'll see. Nice. It doesn't taste that greasy, actually. I think most of the grease has come out in the bag, which is pretty good. I'm not into greasy pies at all. Oh, that's good. So if you've not yet clicked the like button, now's a good time to do it. Simon, just built in a little donation box. Sorry, just build a little donation box into your trailer, coin slot, and some info on what you're doing for it, Law. We're one step ahead of you. Now, the police might not like it, but we were thinking on the side of the pod, on the driver's side, so the side that's into the road, what we thought we'd set up is some kind of a game where any overtaking cars can throw coins into a large funnel that's mounted on the side of the trailer, and that would then feed into a little box inside the pod. Not sure how well that will go down with the local constabulary, but I thought it could be quite a good idea. It might sort of build a bit of entertainment into the whole thing for said donators. Mrs. Mechanic did just laugh at it. Obviously, when it's parked up as well, it would work. Yeah, it might cause a bit of a hazard on the road. Don't know. Only one way to find out, right? So that is in my mind. Don't know if it's actually going to come to fruition yet. But great idea, Simon. We're on the same lines there. Okay. It's not bad. And you see, I've not had a pie for a while, so it tastes even better. Okay. So, taste stroke flavor content. It's pretty good. I'm going to give it an 8 because I'm feeling good today. Structure fully partless. Well, we're going to leave that for a bit. It's not looking great at the moment with the lid, but the main base is fine. One more bite and we could do the runnability test. So just bear with me. I need to cool it down a bit. It really is hot. Some flashing lights when they hit the target with the coin. That's a good idea as well. You could put like a little weary light on and a little micro switch, so when it drops down, it triggers the micro switch, right? And it's on a flasher relay, so it'll just run it for a short time. Or maybe an interior light thingy. I don't know. We'll work something out. Okay. Runnability test. Very, very important test. This is to replicate, you're on the phone, you're busy concentrating, you're talking to somebody, your pie management's going out the window, you've forgotten that you're now dipping your pie down and the contents could fall out onto the pavement or into your car or something, which is really bad. So 45 degrees, I'm going to move my phone because this one might actually dribble out. 45 degrees, 30 seconds, starting now. We have got movement. It's very slow, but there is definite movement going on. It seems to have slowed down. It seems almost to have come to a rest. So it's almost okay, and that's a good 45 degrees we've got going on there. So it's okay. It's not fully stable. It is still a pass for sure at this point in time. I'm tempted not to give it full marks. I think we need some kind of differentiation between absolutely rock solid pie and dribbly pies, which we've already seen previously. I think it's worth an 8. I do. I think it's worth an 8. So we'll give it 8 for that. It's got 8 so far, hasn't it? Now, meat quality. Okay, well, we've got a nice chunk of meat about to pop out there, so we'll eat that. a bit chewy. Wow, that was a big chunk of meat. It's the meat sort of tastes bitter. It's weird, actually, is that? It's very much like a braising steak as opposed to a knife steak. You know? So meat quality, that's not that good. I'm going to give it a 4. That's actually, even though it's big chunks of meat, I'll give it a 5. I'll give it a 5. It's got big chunks of meat, but the flavour of the meat isn't that good. And it tastes dry, and its first bit was quite chewy as well. Okay. Now, this is a good one. Pie to crust ratio, so contents to crust ratio. So you're looking at the cross section of the pie there. It is quite soft at the base, look. Nothing going to fall out. No, I think we're okay. So it's quite deep on pastry in this area here and on the opposite side. The base is quite thin, but it's also pretty weak, and the lid's quite thin. So there is a reasonable amount of contents. I'm going to give it 6 because there is a lot of pastry up here, and it's quite dry. I'm going to give it a 6 there. 6 on that. Might sound a bit stingy, but that's what I reckon it is. Now, availability logistics. This is an easy one. These are made in the KK Cafe and Bakery, nowhere else. First burp. You can only get them online. Sorry, you can't get them online. You can only buy them in the store, so they get 1. If you want this pie, you have to go to Tokoroa, and you have to go to this particular bakery. That's why they only get 1 out of 10. Pastry taste rating. Well, it hasn't tasted bad so far, but I'll just pull a big chunk off the side. It's pretty standard issue pastry. There's no kind of flavoring or, seasoning on the top of the pie. That's just pastry. It just tastes like pastry. It's a little bit dry. If we take this one off this side here, look. You can see it's a little bit sort of brown, which is okay, but it's very, very dry. Okay. So pastry taste rating, 6. Give it a 6. Why not? Still tasty when cold. I mean, it's not greasy at all. There's no grease on the base. I think what was in the bag was maybe just surface grease. It's not within the pastry itself. There is a bit of cheese in there, which is nice. I think it wouldn't be too bad cold, actually. Probably not quite as good as a Wild Bean Cafe steak and cheese cold, because they're actually not bad at all cold. I'm going to give it a 7, actually. For a cold pie, it probably tastes all right. Now, packaging design, it's just a paper bag. There is no design. They just get a 1 for that. There's zero thought gone into the bag other than buying the bag of bags, basically. Recycling score. It is a paper bag. It's not plastic lined, so it is fully recyclable. But they don't tell us that, so they lose 1 point. So they get 9 out of 10 for that one. Post heartburn, already had 1 pretty decent sized burp. So we'll leave that till the end. Stuffability score, it's too early to tell. Pie server attractiveness. Now, a young Asian lady, don't know her exact age, but Mrs. Mechanic was saying very pretty, and she was wearing makeup, and she was also very welcoming to the store. She was quite interactive with her customers, lots of smiles, that kind of thing. And this is what you're looking for. You want to feel welcome, when you go into a store, just like in a pub, you want to feel welcome, valued, and worth a bit of their time to talk to, which is nice. So Mrs. Mechanic gave her an 8 out of 10, which I totally endorse. I think that's a great score. Good job there, Mrs. Mechanic. Right, we're going in for some more. We're about halfway through the pie now. Oh, Big rock. Might be some liability issues with the coin toss idea. Lol. Although I like the idea. I think there could be some liability issues. It could actually cause a bit of an accident, couldn't it? But, you know, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, worst case scenario, we could just, I don't know, put a sign on the back saying, flash your lights to make a donation kind of thing. You know, then we can pull up and then put some money in the thingy. We'll see. We'll work something out. Very, you see that? Very gelatine type of gravy. It's like it's weird. I mean, that's gravy sticking out of there. Gravy shouldn't do that. It's, yeah, I don't know if you can see the movement because it is a live stream, but, oh, there you go, look. It's like jelly. It's very strange. That was just gravy. Quite tasty though. It's all right for what it is. For a homemade dairy pie or bakery pie, they're normally quite greasy here in New Zealand for the homemade ones. This is not greasy at all. There's no grease in that pastry whatsoever. I think they've done a pretty good job actually. So structure Foley partners, we can probably cover that now. It hasn't been that bad. I mean, yes, the lid was lifting off. Yes, we'll probably get a little bit of seepage around the lid, but the contents are quite stable. Even the gravy is, because it's quite jelly sort of style, it doesn't just leak out. So maybe it's intentional. So, structure Foley partners. 8. I think 8 again, actually. It's not perfect by any means, but it's not bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Wow. That was a massive chunk of meat. It went right to the bottom of the pie. Totally unexpected. And that bit of meat wasn't that bad. So we gave it 5 for me. I'm going to give it 6. I'm going to take it back up to 6 on that one. I think 6. That bit was actually okay. It wasn't quite as chewy or as dry as the previous one. Stuart Martindale. Why not build a pie warmer into the side of your trailer? Now that's a good idea. Mrs. Mechanic's got quite used to coming in here and warming her pies up in the pie warmer now. Simon, if they hit the target, an LED sign that says you're a champion. Oh, funny, mate, funny. Not sure about that. Oh, right, we're nearly there. This is the last bit. So, we've still only got, stuffability score on post pie heartburn. Well, there haven't been any more burps, so we're down to 9, right? We lose 1 for 1 burp. Everything feels fine. There's no, no acid kind of reflux going on at the moment. Seems okay. See, quite a lot of pastry. That bit was nice. So it was actually quite tasty right to the last bite, which is also a characteristic we should really take into account. Okay. Time 9:40. Okay. So stuffability score. Am I still hungry? No, I am not. Am I overstuffed? I hope not, because I've got a lot of work to do today. Am I overstuffed? No. I think that was actually pretty good. It was almost like the perfect size and weight, and it did the job. I'm going to give it 10. I think that was actually pretty good. I'm going to get full marks. I'm not overstuffed. That would bring the score down. And I'm not still hungry. That would bring the score down. So, post pie heartburn. Okay, one more. So we're down to 8, right? That wasn't instigated. It was definitely there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, that was another one. We're going to go down to 7. Okay. Right, let's add these scores up. Given my tardiness, you may need to just check my arithmetic, but I think we'll be okay. Right, turn around, 3, 2, 1, boom! Okay. Going down. Okay, get rid of the stool. It's always funny watching yourself on the live stream. Right, 16, 24, 30, 36, 37, 43, 50, 51, 60, 67, 77, 85. That's a pretty average kind of score, 85. It's just to say got itself on the leaderboard door. 85 is not a bad score at all. And if we look at where they've lost the marks, I mean, we've got 2 1s thrown in here. If they were decent scores, this would be massive. So available logistics, if they just got a website and started shipping them around New Zealand, like Lake Pies do, then that score would be huge. Packaging design, just start getting some bags printed up. It doesn't cost a lot. And then you get a good score on that as well. You know, be proud of the pies that you make. And just a regular off-the-shelf paper bag doesn't do that in my book. Okay. What's that? Is it a hair? No, just a mark. So what was it? It was the KK Baker or something, wasn't it? Let's have a look. I scrunched it up too soon. It was on there. Oh, down this end. There we are, look. KK Cafe and Bakery. Steak and cheese. And it was only a little bit of cheese. And it was 85. And it wasn't bad. You know, it wasn't a bad pie. It deserves a higher score, really, but that's down to the bakery to make some changes, isn't it? Okay, let's bring you back up, and we'll go and see where it sits on the door. Here we go. Yeah, that was a good pie. It was all right. Okay, so we're right at the bottom. Okay, I'm going to put it above this one, because that was really crap meat in it. I think this one actually deserves it. It should be a little bit higher than that. There we go. There we are. Fantastic. Another pie review done. That's what I call dedication for you guys. You know, if you come to New Zealand, which is probably not going to happen, but who knows, if you do, then you can reference back at this huge, detailed investigation of pie availability and quality and taste and all that kind of stuff. And you can then decide and put together, you know, some logistics of where you're going to visit around the country and the best pie places to go for those pies. Very important. Okay, right, one more cigarette, finish my coffee, and then I've got to get a lot of work done. I've got to make as much use as I can of the Benjamin. Honestly, Mr. Young, terrible camera. There we go. Okay, we'll get rid of that. Don't need that. Right, we're all cleaned up. Still got some coffee left. It's probably cold. Where do we get to? Yes, thanks for that comment, Simon. I think great idea, but I don't think we're going to do that. Now, Daz, is there going to be a pie warmer, a pie review pit stops? Yeah, it probably will be. We did a couple of those, 2 or 3 of those on the DR200 Farm Special adventure, which is still getting edited up. Currently, actually, I've lost all communication with the chap that's doing the editing. And I've seen no evidence of any editing being done either. So, yeah, getting a bit concerned because he's got me hard drive. I mean, I've still got copies of all the rushes because I just did a new hard drive for him, but it's not good, is it? You know, at least an email to say, hey, something's come up. I'll post your hard drive back. You know, I went to Napier week last Monday, so just after the live stream, and my plan was to meet up that evening in where is it? It's near Hastings somewhere, and couldn't get hold of him. He's not normally one to turn down a pint, so it does seem a bit odd. So I'll keep you posted. But I really need those videos to go out. I'm looking forward to seeing the series. You know, it was just over a year ago that we did that, and it'd be really cool to watch it. Anyway, we'll get there. Got bigger things to worry about at the moment. John, have you got a drone for this adventure yet? No, not yet. It's something which my original plan, actually, and I'm still toying with the idea, was for one day in the North Island, and when we do rainbows in the South Island, to have the chap that's doing the editing, Grant, his name is. So when we're getting near to where Grant lives, which is near to Napier, there's a really good gravel road that leads into the back of Napier, and we could actually get him with us for that day, and we can do some drone filming with him, because he's got a really cool drone, really expensive drone, and he's good at flying it. He does a lot of promotional videos and stuff. So if he's keen and he doesn't charge me too much, I'd actually have a cameraman for that particular day, and then we'd fly him down to the South Island to probably Nelson, fly into Nelson, and then we'll go off and we'll do rainbows, and then he can stay over, and then he can fly back out of Christchurch or something. So we might end up with him for a day and a half in the South Island. We'll have to see how things pan out. But that was sort of the plan, because it is quite difficult doing it, you know, for me to do it, because I've never flown a drone before, and I'll probably crash it, to be honest, and then we'll have nothing. And I haven't really got time to practice at the moment either, and I actually haven't got the funds at the moment to buy a drone, and I haven't done any kind of research on what kind of drone to buy, so no, I haven't got any of that done. My main concern at the moment is the comms between the bike and the Jeep. That's sort of I'm on with the trailer, I know, but my next research is that. We tried to, in fact, Jim K was trying to contact RevZilla. They've recently done another video, a very cool video actually, of them riding an old, was it a DT1? And an old Honda, was it an XL or something? 350. Across, where was it? I don't know. Was it Ohio? I don't know, I can't remember. But it's on their channel. Very cool. Really enjoyed the video. And you can see quite clearly they've got Bluetooth headsets. They've got a little boom. They've got open face helmets, little boom coming around. And they're able to talk to each other. And it records, they must have a device that also Bluetooths in that is able to record the audio to an MP3 file. That's what I need. You know, I'm sure we can rig something up in the car that's going to work, but I don't know what kit to get. So if any of you guys have got any ideas or could steer me in the right direction, that would be, and I can source it here in New Zealand. But if I know what I'm asking for, because the audio is a critical part of the videos, right? You clear audio, well recorded, not loads of wind noise and stuff. It really makes the videos. I've got a bit of a budget put to one side for it. It's something which we can probably get the week before we go, because obviously I want to consider cash flow and stuff. But if you've got any ideas, or you know of what equipment to do, Jim had absolutely no luck whatsoever in contacting the RevZilla team. They just wouldn't tell him anything, which I thought was a bit weird, really, because, you know, we're all bikers. We all like to help each other, really. So if you've got any ideas, then please just email them through to me, andymechanic@live.co.uk. And I do check my emails 3 or 4 times a day. So as soon as that information comes through, and I'm sure 1 or 2 of you know of stuff that could be used, or if you know of any other YouTube channel that does a similar kind of bike adventure trip and they use similar kind of gear, Then again, let me know, or if you can contact them and try and find out what they use and then forward it through to me, that'd be great. It would save me a bit of time because I just don't have the time. I don't have the time to do it. This is the problem. John, you can ask. You can ask. There are drone clubs out there that might help out. Hey, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Roger Heaps. I should ask my old man. He had headsets that Bluetooth 800-ish meters. That will be fine. Oh, cheers, Roger. I really, really appreciate it. If we can come up with some kind of an action plan, that will be really, really cool. Even if it's just to borrow, just to borrow them for the trip. Obviously, whatever Mrs. Mechanic has, I've got to be able to get into a helmet. That's the critical, and she will only wear a full face helmet, so I've got to try and massage it into there. So it might mean taking something apart and, installing it. We'll have to wait and see. So Benjamin is messaging me. He's probably telling me, he's probably telling me to hurry up. Oh God, she's done a bacon. Mrs. Mechanic's made a bacon sandwich. I don't want a bacon sandwich. I've got work to do. What do your bike trainers use for headsets? That's interesting, actually. In fact, I have got a contact in the New Zealand Police Force. You see, you're starting to just spur the memory now. But they probably use the police radios. Just a different channel for training. And I don't know if they're advanced enough really to record the audio of the training exercise. Don't know. In fact, with the bike trainers, most of them, just thinking back, because I did speak to one years ago, the person, the trainee, can only hear. They normally can't talk back. They only have a speaker in their helmet, or whether they put a little headset on and then put the helmet over the top, I don't know, but they only have a speaker, and the trainer only has a mic, obviously. So it's only a one-way, it's not a two-way radio system, it's a one-way radio system where they can just give them the commands. If the trainee has a problem, they just are told to pull up and stop, and then they talk face to face. So don't know if that's going to work, but I'm pretty confident it is a Bluetooth setup. Because there's a lot of these bike comms, bike to bike and pillion to rider systems out there. We did try to use it on the DR200 trip, but I was overcomplicating it by trying to use CB radios. But if we can get a powerful enough Bluetooth set, the Jeep will always, or nearly always, be in range of the bike. But it's the recording device to record the conversation between the two headsets. That's the critical part, and I don't know what to use for that. Senna, that was it. So, I mean, I do have a Senna helmet here, but it's my head size, so maybe I've got to drive the Jeep wearing that, I don't know. But you can get headsets, can't you? So I'll just get a headset. Here we go, look. Simon, a third radio with its speaker plugged into an MP3 recorder. Can you just do that? Can you just plug it straight into an MP3 recorder? Or maybe I could just use my radio and, well, then it wouldn't get mine, would it? So maybe you're right, you've got to use a third radio. Okay, possibly. We could maybe look at that. I'll investigate. Purple Monkey, Senna Bluetooth backpack and GoPro Hero 4 captures audio between headsets and onto camera. Okay. Purple Monkey, could you, I know it's asking a bit, but could you find something on the web that is that gear, just to give me an idea what I'm looking at? Let's flick it through on an email for us, andymechanic@live.co.uk. And next week, I'm at home most days, not Tuesday, but the rest of the week I am now, and I can investigate that more. Simon, I think the two speaker wires on a jack plug will work. Okay, well, hey, I'll keep it as simple as I possibly can. And we've got the Jeep, so I mean, having equipment in the Jeep to record the audio is not a problem at all. Thanks, Purple Monkey. I really appreciate that. So if we can also try and come together, just a bit of a brainstorm session, fire through what you come across, and I can look at the different options and see what I can get here in New Zealand as well. That's going to dictate, because I really can't be relying on stuff coming in from another country now. We're getting too close to the start. And I would like really to get the gear before the trip and actually do a trial run, you know, with the trailer and bits and pieces, and just to make sure that everything's working properly. And then I can be a bit happier, you know. Because these videos are for you guys, and I want to make them as good as I possibly can. And I think I'll be editing up this next one. So it may not have any fancy graphics and stuff in it, but if you know, I'm pretty good at editing the basic stuff. So I'll have to just make time to do it. I no longer can I rely on other people. Unfortunately, it's an awful thing to say, but I just can't rely on other people editing the videos. It's a ball ache. It really is, but we'll get there. Okay, crew. So plan of attack today is to weld up the chassis, which should take an hour tops. The MIG was playing up yesterday. I've got something to show you. Hang on. Yeah, where did I put it? Here we go. So obviously on a MIG, on the torch, you've got the tip. Now the tip size is dedicated to the wire size that you use. And then the tip screws into this bit. And this bit then has like a porcelain piece around it, and it should be one piece. There's some threads at the end. Somehow, and it's quite well protected because it's inside the actual the tube, you know, the little tube that goes around the shroud for the gas. Somehow it got broken. And I was welding away yesterday, and there was this almighty sort of arc within the torch itself. And it was getting a bit splattery as the welding. It was a bit odd, to be honest. And clearly it was because of this. And I pulled it all apart. And this is the first time I've ever had to replace one of these. And I was very fortunate to be able to get this bit, the threaded bit, out of the rest of the torch. And behind it is a little spring. Obviously, it's the conductor for the positive. And it's, you know, it was arcing on the brass. That was the issue, because these two bits now were, this bit was loose. So luckily I raked through all my bits and pieces, because I bought a new torch a couple of years ago and it came with a spare one of these. So we've managed to get the MIG fixed up again, and it seems to be working okay. I'm putting down the splatteriness to possibly that and or a poor earth clamp, because it's lost a bit of the springiness in the clamp. So I might have to resort to my mole grips earth, which are up there, which I bought, which I haven't used yet. So I might switch across to that for today, doing the chassis. Because obviously we don't want splattery welds, because Mrs. Mechanic has to clean them all up. Plus it reduces the power, the penetration. So that's the plan. Simon, hit the like on the way out, crew. Absolutely. Okay, so problem solved with that. Hopefully we're on board with that. Rest of the week stuck at home, basically, apart from Tuesday. I've got to do a diagnosis just down the road on an ROV. It's a what is it doing? It's an ECU decision not to start the engine. So there's an input which is telling the ECU something's wrong. Whether it's a rollover sensor or what, I don't know, but we'll soon work it out, I'm sure. I hope so, because I haven't got a lot of time. Rest of the week will be at home admin, and in the evenings, I think I'm going to have to switch across to the ROV top end rebuild and get that done on the evenings, so that it's ready to go back up to Auckland next week and I can get it delivered, and then that's out of the way and it's done, right? Roger, we'll have details from Dad soon. We'll message you. Thank you, Roger, again for that. Really appreciate it. You know, you could save the day. In fact, any one of you could save the day by the sounds of it. So thank you very much. And that's about it for the live stream. That's the update on the trailer, the kit. In 2 weeks' time, it's going to look very different, isn't it? It's all going to be bolted together. I think the last thing to do will be to get the electric brakes working and get some lights on it. Well, in fact, get some lights on it and then get the electric brakes working. Loads to do. Okay, crew. Well, you all take care of yourselves. And the video that I filmed yesterday, I'll try and get edited this coming week and up on the channel on an evening, as well as rebuild an engine top end. Okay, crew, thank you for watching, and don't forget you can donate to the trip if you want to. Obviously, any help's much appreciated. You can do that through PayPal, or that Give a Little page, which is called Just a Fish. And you'll see on the Just a Fish page, you'll know you're on the right one because it's got the picture of the little yellow monkey bike as the background, I believe. But I'll put you a link in the description as soon as I can. All right, chaps. See you around. Cheers. Over and out.